Ozicar Tin Top Cup continues round 4 here at Silverstone Circuit, the national layout to give us that real Tin Top Cup touring car door-to-door short track feeling. And it's looking like a beautiful day at the moment. What way might the weather go? We're delighted to be bringing you coverage of all of tonight's racing here on Simspeed TV. David Haynes here, Jay Kennedy in the production, and we're joined, of course, by Jason Fewens.
Yeah, good evening, Dave. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another round of Ozicar Tin Top Cup. Like you said, very underused layout here tonight, but very well suited to these little cars. It's going to be tight, twisty, action-packed. We have a really good field tonight of 28 plus cars, and it is
not alphabetically.
Not
we're
that
not
map.
We're not alphabetically. I reckon Sandown's pretty close to Silverstone, but geographically, worlds apart. Jason.
Yeah, going from the land down under right to the northern hemisphere, and we will try and zoom in on Google Earth and give you a real good idea of the layout that we are here tonight at the National Circuit. It's, like I said, very well underutilised, but normally provides very good close racing. Tight, twisty, and it's going to be critical here to get your tyre temperatures up to speed and keep on the racing line, not make those little mistakes.
It's Aston Martin F1's factory just up the top before we zoomed in. But yeah, this is a great look at the layout. So people are well familiar with the full Grand Prix layout of Silverstone these days. And in blue, some of the heritage layout. But we are there, right-hand side of the screen, with the old pit lane, with Copse Corner as turn 1, and then a flick back onto the Wellington Straight, and with Luffield and Woodcote to close out the lap. very much a right turning circuit, a short little layout here at 2.6 kilometres. The UK's answer to Queensland Raceway, mayhaps?
Yeah, there's plenty of very historic names you just read out there to make up what is this tight little twisty circuit, but we are here tonight with a qualifying format which is just underway at the moment, about to finish. Race 1 will be 15 minutes or 15 laps, whichever comes first. We should get our 15 laps in, I would think. Race 2 will be the same with the grid set by reverse top 8. And then, of course, our feature race will be 15 lap sprint to give you your championship winner for the night.
Speaking of that championship, here's what it looks like after the first 3 rounds. Ben Faulkner, very, very strong performance from him 2 weeks ago in the last round at Belle Isle. So he leads the championship heading here from Jamie Stovald and Ewan Baker, Brodie Shepherd, Tim Harris, James Chasinoff, Dylan DeBono, Matthew Pluck, Hayden Kirk, and Joshua Horton, I think that should say. Unless he's like wearing like double denim, in which case Joshua Jordan might make sense, but he's inside of the top 10 there. Those are some of the names to look out for amongst the 29 that we expect to see in this Toyota GR86, gridding up now for race number 1. Yeah, there we go. That's right. Ben Faulkner and Joshua Horton on the front row, and Ewan Baker and Tim Harris, Aaron Obersteller and Luke Turner as the first 3 rows. Behind them, Sam Chapman, Douglas Gowans, Brodie Shepherd, Dylan DeBono, Jamie Stovald, and Glenn Riddell in 12th. Hayden Kirk, Tony Baker, Matt Pluck, Will Chen, Nathan Verney, and Jordan Dakin to 18. There's 10 more with qualifying times. There's Cameron Hardwick, Ben Wheeler, Peter Wilkinson, Warren Henry, Tom Brown, James Chasinoff, not a driver you'd expect to see in 24th. John Snell, Brendan Neal, and Ira Falberg, and Vic Bent-Veltzen, those remaining drivers with qualifying times. Tom Freer has none, and they line up on the old pit straight, not that pit building, but the old pit building. The countdown says a minute left, Jason, and it is there's really only, 4 corners really to think about on this layout.
Yeah, plenty of cars, short little circuit that's going to be very, very busy. Just waiting on a couple of cars to grid up now, but it is looking pretty colourful there with a good field of the Toyota 86s all lined up, ready, waiting for the lights to go green. So it is a bit of a wait for the drivers. So this will be their last opportunity for the next 15 minutes just to take a big, deep breath, gather their thoughts before the lights will be ready to go out very shortly, and we will get racing underway.
One of the drivers they were waiting on, because I think it would accelerate slightly if every driver was on the grid, was that second place on the grid of Joshua Horton. But then you saw he appeared with 2 Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota cars in line behind him. Get a good look at Ewan Baker in third. Not all of these grid spots seem to be lined up so great. They've got the standing start. They're about to get underway. First of 3 races from Silverstone for Ozicar Tin Top Cup. Who gets away well? No wheel spin from Ewan Baker, but he bogs down a little bit. Sam Chapman looks like he's got a real hole shot there, but it's not bad at all for your pole sitter Ben Faulkner, going to lead Joshua Horton through turn 1 at relatively low speed. Normally a super high speed and committed corner. It will be next lap and in the following races. And then you head down trying to break in a straight line to take a tight long right-hander rather than taking Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel regularly. We cut through onto the Wellington Straight, and it's going to be high average speeds. It's going to be a lot of slipstreaming around here, no doubt. You've got the long pit straight, you've got the long Wellington Straight, and just a couple of corners in between to link them up. On board with Dylan DeBono as he rides in 10th. He's inside of the top 10 of the championship as well.
Yeah, it looks pretty busy. While you see a bit of car contact just on the opening lap there with a couple of cars just in front of him. So good awareness there from Dylan just to avoid that potential contact in front. You could almost see it was going to happen. Douglas Gowans coming off second best out of that. We did see Tom Freer as well coming out of Maggots. He started from the back of the grid without putting in a qualifying time and got caught up in traffic. So he is behind the 8 ball at the completion of lap number 1 as the leaders take their way around through the fast sweeping right-hand corner. We did hear some comments and a bit of talk before the race about the drivers exercising the track limits there on the exit of turn 1. So that's something we might need to keep an eye on tonight as the race unfolds.
Will Chen had a slide on the outside of Cop's corner. Cheeky bit of 3 wide, 4 wide as some other cars tried to sneak down the inside on him. And there's a little bit of contact in some other places here as they make this right-hander and then out onto the Wellington straight once again. Well, links up right on the exit of where you'd be coming through the village loop on the main Grand Prix circuit. So you get the full length of the Wellington straight down past the BRDC clubhouse.
Looks like 55, Brody Shepherd. I think it might be there just having a bit of a look under brakes, but thinking better of it. Ben Wheeler there. He's under a bit of pressure there from the Velocity Sim Racing driver behind him, putting a nose down the inside as they get ready to complete lap number 2. There's a spin in the background. One of the locked-on cars there facing the wrong way. It's Peter Wilkinson. So it's a bit of a sitting duck in the middle of the circuit while all the other cars find a way around him at the moment.
Well, this was early on, and we saw that Douglas Gowans spinning around and off the circuit there at the end of the Wellington straight. That corner there at the end of the Wellington straight, it really tightens up late on, and so you're seeing drivers take a couple of different lines through there. Jordan Dakin is dropping back as well. It's been dramatic. Ewan Baker is looking to go forward, challenging inside of these top positions. But Sam Chapman, what a race start Sam Chapman's had. He's gaining a couple spots here. This is what happened to Dakin. James Chasanoff looked to his left right before they went into Cop's corner.
Yeah, he's found himself out in the past the kitty litter out into the fence. Didn't look like a lot of damage being done, but it did take him a little bit of time to get back up to speed. We jump out the back of Ewan Baker's Toyota GR86, looking at the Kiwi Sim Racing car. There's a good little battle forming right behind him with Tim Harris and Josh Horton at the moment. Horton's got the inside line. The car's run just a little bit wide on the exit, but everybody makes it through without too much drama. So good clean racing from everyone involved there.
It's pretty ridiculous when you look from up on high. We've got 2 lanes working from Cop's corner down to the long right-hander here. Traction off the exit, pretty important. You see there's a bit of dirt there if you get the wrong side of the curb. And Joshua Horton's been getting the wrong side of a little bit of this. He's coming under pressure. Bono there looking like he's looking to pull out to the inside of this left hand. Again, watch it tighten up late on. And some cars staying out wide, some turning in a little earlier. That led to, I think, the misunderstanding and some of the spinning out earlier on. But there's no way at all to find a gap between leader Ben Faulkner down about 15th place Nathan Verney. It's all like this.
So we are already, I think we're on lap 4 of our 15-minute race here, race number 1. So plenty of action already forming, good little battle packs. And looks like everybody's in pretty well single file at the moment. Hayden Kirk taking the fastest lap of the race back in P13. So he's found a little bit of clear track and taking advantage of that, while the rest of the cars look like they go 2 by 2, potentially 3 wide into the exit of Maggots. There's a bit of contact there, and the 22 coming out second best. I'm sure there'll be a call in for that, and that'll be a race incident looked at after the race.
Yeah, it's a weird little braking zone down there at turn 2 on this layout as well. The track kinks to the left right as they need to slam on the brakes for a long right-hander. So we see here what happens. Oh, no, there was not really much of a lane there for Glencito Riddell, was there? I was watching that replay going, okay, the 2 cars in front are about to collide. Oh no, we're on board with the car that's about to dive in there and make the contact. Okay.
Yeah, 5 into 1 corner doesn't necessarily work in most cases, and that was a prime example. But back to live pictures now. Josh Horton putting in the fastest lap of the race. So the little purple box starting up and down the left-hand side timing screen from the middle of the field back towards the front. So Josh Horton there finding his pace at about the halfway point of race number 1.
Yes, indeed. So for Nathan Verney, a bit of contact here. Just as he gets off the throttle to try to not make too much contact is when the contact happens and spins him around. This is second place, Sam Chapman, and he has been a rocket ship up the grid from 7th, now racing into 2nd. He gained about 2 spots from the standing start, just the perfect balance between bogging down in a car that's got a very tall first gear in the racing gearbox, but not a whole lot of torque from the naturally aspirated four-cylinder, or spinning up the wheels and then also going nowhere. So he got a great launch there and has picked off a couple positions as he's gone backwards. From him at Ewan Baker in third, and whoever that is, parked off the outside of turn one. Probably Jordan Dakin. Definitely Jordan Dakin.
Dakin's pulled up there on the left-hand side. He's decided to call it a day for race number one at least. We look at the back of Sam Chapman, though. He is being hounded every which way from Ewan Baker. The 34 Kiwi Sim Racing Toyota is looking at pretty aggressive at the moment. He wants to take away that second position. He's probably feeling a little bit of pressure from Josh Horton from behind, so wants to get the move done. Everybody making their way through the tight left-hand corner before hard on the brakes, and it is a very tight exit here back onto the main straight. Everybody making it through without too much drama. That's what we like to see here on Simspeed TV. Ozicar providing plenty of clean racing action for you this evening.
So who else has made some good moves so far in this race? Dylan DeBono from 10th to 5th. Jamie Stovall from 11th to 7th. Matthew Pluck from 15th to 10th. And some of those spots, they come at the expense of a few drivers who've gone backwards, like Jordan Dakin, like Aaron Obersteller, and indeed like Douglas Gowans. But we called out an incredibly uncommon qualifying position for James Chastinov. So, of course, he's gained 10. Still not really featuring inside of the top 10, though, as he's in 14th, having started 24th.
So a little bit further back in the pack, this is just on the inside of the top 20. It's a little five-way battle pack at the moment. Tom Brown will jump on board with him as he gets the draft opportunity back down the Wellington Straight underneath the bridge. Probably not going to be close enough to get the move done at this stage. Might be just happy to sit back and see if any action unfolds in front of him. A couple of teammates there in the Vermilion livery, looking very unique, and as they go side by side, giving each other plenty of room. The last person you do want to hit is your teammate.
So the first person who'll let you know about it, Jamie Stovall, now with the fastest lap of the race. He's also Vermilion, I think.
SSR?
Oh, he's SSR. Sorry, Jamie. Sorry, Vermilion. Sorry, SSR.
We'll jump on board to confirm that, but he is tucked underneath the rear wing of Luke Turner, so probably getting a pretty good draft at the moment, but he's at the point where he's got nowhere to go unless he makes a move. So we are past the 10-minute mark, so we are within the last third of the opening race here tonight. Single file in a train of 7, as you can see the cars in front snake their way through the left and right hand sequence of corners, getting ready to complete yet another lap.
So here's Tony Baker with Hayden Kirk and Glenn Riddell. But Turner picks up the fastest lap of the race, so they're still finding ways to improve lap time around here. As we go in these relatively short 15-minute races, the laps do fly by, of course, on a 2.6 kilometre layout. Grip not entirely there for a few drivers. Not great for Riddell. He doesn't like that.
Jordan Dakin exiting the pits there, and really probably wasn't expecting the cars to be 3, potentially 4 wide on the pit exit. So
on the inside and on the outside of turn 1 at this point, if we're honest.
I think there might be a bit of yellow paint on the side of his car after that, but the main thing is everybody's still facing in the right direction, albeit might have been a heart in mouth moment for a couple of drivers. I don't know if Jeremy actually did too much wrong there. Like, he is entitled to re-enter the track, and
yeah, I mean, it's hard to gauge. Like, he doesn't take the pit exit and then blend all the way across. He's staying as far right as he can. It's just that there is racing happening. There is one Toyota GR86 for about every 50 or 60 meters of this circuit. They're everywhere. They're all racing like this because of the high average speeds. I mean, okay, you've got the long pit straight, turn 1 super quick, so they're still slipstreaming each other down here, and then you want to, outbrake or cut back, or you're doing all your shenanigans here. and then you full throttle down the long Wellington straight again, and it's rinse and repeat. It's all happening everywhere all the time.
Yeah, the onus also has to go on the approaching driver as well, because he's more than aware of what's happening. You can see what's happening in front of him. He's the one that's going for the
Both
pass.
of us saw it coming from like 5 seconds away before it happened. Like we were like, "Oh, what's going to happen here?"
Anyway, everyone's facing the right direction. We're still racing, and we are now in the final stages of race number 1. It's a little battle on screen at the moment as it sorts itself out. This is 4th and 5th on track with Dylan De Bono and Josh Horton. Josh Horton getting the better of De Bono at this stage, but plenty of pressure being applied at the moment.
Got real spicy for a second there between Horton and De Bono. I think De Bono had his nose underneath, almost clear, tiny bit of bumper rubbing. You've got your tops 6, 7 here at the moment. Again, De Bono's looking to cut back. He's one of the most exciting drivers amongst the pack. Art Felberg's coming through, but Douglas Gowans is slow. Tom Freer is in a super rough position. That looks like the gravel that he might have dragged back on.
Yeah, I think Tom just got caught up in an incident with Gowans coming onto the main straight and got hit from behind as everybody concertinaed up. So he'll probably have a fair bit of damage late in race number 1. So the last first challenge starting from the back of the field certainly wasn't working in his favour. He's been in a world of wars tonight.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Whoa. Hang on. He got
sandwich.
Real velocity sandwiched. Yeah, indeed. What would go into a velocity sandwich?
Oh, peanut butter.
Something to think about in the break, maybe, because De Bono up front has been door-to-door with Horton for multiple corners in a row, and that's excitement happening up front. They've got a car slow there as they go through wide.
See the sparks coming off of Tom Freer's car, so he's in all sorts of trouble at the moment.
Yeah, that car's not well. Really not well. Really not well with the left rear suspension damage. Making it very oversteering, or perhaps a little too Tom Freer.
Yeah, I think he'll park it and call it a night looking at that. So Ozicar.net replay providing you with all the action on track, but we might go back to live pictures as we are in the final minute of race number 1, and it is a 5-6 car battle up the front. That looks like Ewan Baker in a cloud of smoke.
Horton and De Bono's battle taps the rear of Ewan Baker in front. He gets spun around. Now there's a bit of damage on the side for De Bono there, but he's getting bump drafted. Still side by side with Joshua Horton, I think, as Luke Turner's trying to get involved in that. Creates a little bit more separation as we start the final lap of the race. Ben Faulkner still leading from Sam Chapman, but it's 3rd, 4th, 5th, where the fireworks are starting to ignite, including Jamie Stovall now showing his nose down the inside, coming into the braking zone. He backs out of that, watching what's going to happen between De Bono and Horton, and they have a little bit more bumper love again. But I think 1st and 2nd, be glad to be away from all of this on the final lap.
Yes, I think 1st and 2nd's pretty well done for at the moment. We are looking at the final spot on the podium, and it is a 4-car battle. Dylan De Bono's got the inside of the line. He's got to try and hold it tight, but if Horton can hold it around the outside for the tight right-hander back onto the straight, which I don't think he can, but he's having a fair old crack at it, this is going to be one for the ages.
Well, the checkered flag's ready, and the stopwatch will need to be as well. Up front, Ben Faulkner's going to take race win, extend his championship lead, with Sam Chapman having a great race in 2nd, but for 3rd, Joshua Horton just pips Dylan De Bono by a 1/2 of a second. A few others are going to need the same treatment as we have some side-by-side coming to the checkered flag all throughout the field. Who was close there? I think Hayden Kirk and Glenn Riddell might have been side-by-side.
On screen, Ben Wheeler, Nathan Verney separated by less than 1/2 second, so 3/10 as they cross the line. This is outside the top 20 Ira Felberg and Brendan Nealon, so another close little battle as they run down to the checkered flag. Barney drops, and that is race number 1 in the books for those drivers. Bit of clear track behind them, as you can just see a car diving off into the infield to celebrate. Ben Faulkner, our race winner.
Lots to explore around Silverstone. I'm not sure what he was going to find the way that he was going. Faulkner winning from Sam Chapman, Joshua Horton, Dylan Zabono, Luke Turner, Jamie Stovall, Tim Harris, Brody Shepherd, Ewan Baker in 9th there, and Matt Pluck in 10th. Remembering that all of this becomes the grid for race number 2, with Hayden Kirk, Glenn Riddell, Tony Baker, James Chastanove making a little bit of progress there. Ben Wheeler, Nathan Verney, Tom Brown, Aaron Obersteller, Will Chen, and John Snell. And then, of course, quick lap. So a couple of cars did fall off the lead lap with some small incidents. Not Douglas Gowans, Ira Felberg, Brandon Neal, and Vic Ben Phelps, and Warren Henry or Peter Wilkinson. But Cameron Hardwick and Tom Freer with their issues a lap down, and Jordan Dakin 3 laps down. Not completely clear what happened to him on all occasions. With the little time jump from race 1 to race 2, some of the clouds begin to roll in, some of them a little darker, not expecting any rain, clear on the radar for race number 2. Once again, 15 minutes, they're ready to go. Your pole sitter. And a big jump start from Warren Henry in the back there as well.
He got on the gas way too early, but did a pretty good job of avoiding the car in front of him by a paper's width. He was very, very close, but managing to get the car around to the left-hand side out of the way. So I'm not sure exactly whether he's got a throttle problem or whether he just... don't know what happened there. We'll find out, I guess.
Ewan Baker's in the wall, and there's been some contact. Ben Faulkner's off in the grass. It's high drama for all of your drivers inside of the top 10. Sam Chapman has got massive damage. So a big winner of race number 1 is missing his front bumper. Ewan Baker is basically all the way out the back. Now Tim Harris leads Brody Shepherd and Jamie Stovall as your top 3. 3 wide for a bunch of them behind. Seeing Glenn Riddell get absolutely sandwiched back there. Up front, you got DeBono looking around the outside of the final corner. We'll take a look. Baker. Ooh. Is that Faulkner coming across and sending 2 of them into the concrete? It all happens quickly, and there's so much happening. But it looked like there maybe wasn't quite room to change lanes.
Yeah, just to highlight there, Tony Baker on wet weather tyres, so you could expect him to go backwards at a great rate or not, so I would imagine as the race unfolds. So don't know what's going on there, whether he knows something we don't know, whether he's got an inside forecast with the Bureau of Meteorology, but very gutsy call there.
In the UK, it's the Met Office, I believe. But we've got John Snell and Jordan Dakin also on the wet tyres. It'd be funny if I've got that wrong, and then I'm not only dumb, but snobby. This is for the race lead, 1st and 2nd, and going down the inside. Brody Shepherd gets back to the race lead ahead of Tim Harris, and the cars behind loom ever closer, like Joshua Horton, Jamie Stovall, and Luke Turner. So now from on high, Faulkner on the right. I mean, it doesn't get better the second time I've seen it.
Yeah, you can go from the highs of race 1 to the lows of race 2 within the first 150, 200 odd metres of the rate of the race tonight. But that does give a couple of other drivers an opportunity to shine. Brody Shepherd is doing that at the moment, making the most of it. Tim Harris also another one of those drivers with plenty of speed, but hasn't had luck on his side throughout the course of the season on occasions, but at the moment sitting pretty in at P2. This is a 4-way battle a bit further back in the field, just inside the top 10. In fact, it looks like about a 6 or 7 car battle if you look out the rear window of Tony Baker.
Yeah, and he's got those wet tyres on, so I think at the end of some of these straights he starts to get mugged, but he's getting a nice little bit of a bump draft there. We're 4 wide, 3 wide, yeah, going 4 wide here is down the inside one of the Kiwi sim racing cars is thinking about having a look. The tyre warm-up, maybe it's not so bad on the wets, but there's no way they last, and there's no way that they don't rob him a little bit of the straight line speed as well.
So he's got his mirrors plenty busy with cars all over the back of his rear wing on his little Toyota at the moment. So looking pretty vulnerable, just sitting inside the top 10, or just outside the top 10 in fact. A little bit of rub and bump as they make their way through. That's not looking good.
And there's Will Chen around as well. So 3, 4, 5 cars around. Dylan DeBono was inside of the top 5, but apparently he was also in the lead, and now he's around at turn 1. So we got to look here. He's defending the inside from Horton, potentially. No. Yes. Maybe expecting to be a bit quicker off the exit.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tank slapper finding himself off the racing line, most importantly, but dropping a heap of positions. So that'll be something that'll be looked at post-race. This is Josh Horton on screen at the moment, sitting in P3. He is having the screws tightened at the moment from Ben Faulkner, our race 1 winner, with Luke Turner in the pulse tuning livery, that very distinctive, I won't say it's white, but it's almost like a creamy beigey off-white. Sometimes these liveries, the simple ones, are often best. Mother old pearl.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say something pearl, yeah.
The white, the off-white, the ivory, of the beige.
Something like that. So this is our top 6 right now. And then there's a little bit of a gap to the remaining cars. So Tim Harris, Jamie Stovall, Josh Horton, Ben Faulkner, Luke Turner, and Brodie Shepherd. The cars looking like they're in the hunt for the win in race 2. There's a late dive again to this corner that tightens up. Horton now alongside Stovall. Stovall tries to hold his ground there. It goes into a much longer right-hander. Ben Faulkner gets to choose his line off the exit. You remain side by side. The inside for turn 1, surely the way to go, the place to be, and that's the ground that Stovall has got, but he's been given no slipstream by anyone. Tom Freer had a tough race 1. It looks like he's having a tough race 2 again. This is side by side for second. Going around the outside, Joshua Horton is going to get ahead, but then Ben Faulkner will look to bump Jamie Stovall. They all get back in line for a moment and then spread out into the next braking zone where Stovall's going to try to hold off Faulkner, who's going to try to go round the outside. So that's Gowan. That's the same 2 again.
So this might be Jamie's. Yeah, very, very messy there. That's Tom Freer and the outcome of what we saw the end of. So that sort of explains how he ended up facing the way he was. But back to the live pictures now. This is the battle up the front still. So Tim Harris taking control of the race with Josh Horton only 3/10 behind. Ben Faulkner sitting in P3, and then Jamie Stovall on screen at the moment. Here's the car we're focusing on with those very distinctive green wheels, sitting in P number 4.
Well, what's going on here? Glenn Riddell trying to gain some spots. Tom Freer to his inside there. Cameron Hardwick behind. Joshua Horton's just half spun out of the top 6. So then there were 5. And he has Aaron Obersteller, who's going to get past him. Turner side by side with Brodie Shepherd. Top 3 are in line until Ben Faulkner pulls out, looking to dive down the inside and take the race lead away from Tim Harris. That's what he will do.
So they're side by side, giving each other.
Faulkner leading, making a little bit of a move there in defence before getting back in line through Cops Corner, turn 1. We look to Jamie Stovall in third. All he can see is Tim Harris, but trust us, there's Ben Faulkner in the lead.
Back down Wellington Straight again. It is a 5-car train as they all follow each other using the benefit of the slipstream. Ben Faulkner leading this group, punching a big hole in the air to the benefit of everyone behind him. It'll be hard on the brakes, but a passing opportunity not on the cards at this stage. We are 6.5 minutes to go in race number 2 as the leaders come around to take care of some lap traffic. Who's doing a pretty good job of staying out of the way at the moment. Brodie Shepherd sitting back in 4, 5 at the moment there. I think doing a pretty good job with our fastest lap holder, Aaron Oversteller, in P number 6. Those wet weather tyres still holding out for Tony Baker. He was around P9, 10 when we focused on him a bit earlier in the race, and he is still in P11. So he's made it way 2/3 of the way through the race at the moment without losing too much track position. John Snell, another one of the drivers on the wets.
Tony Baker must know something we don't know, because there's no logic to how this would work, but apparently somehow it does. Like, here's a great example. Tom Freer, handy enough driver, on the tyres that you would expect to be the right tyres for the occasion. And yeah, I suppose maybe we're starting to reach the limits of what those wets can do, because he does look like he didn't have the grip through the corner, doesn't have the speed in the straight line. As we get to the braking zone, he looks fine braking, but maybe can't quite lean on them and get traction out of the slow corners like he would like to be able to do. Faulkner leading, Stovall second, teammates Tim Harris and Luke Turner third and fourth, with Brodie Shepherd in fifth, but that looks like Harris very, very wide. His teammate will let him rejoin, but Brodie Shepherd's not quite so keen on it from fifth.
Yeah, Brodie's looking left, looking right for a way around, but all he sees is a wall of Toyota Ozicar 86s in front of him, and able to get the job done at the moment. So we're playing the waiting game. It's 1.2 seconds separates the top 5 on track, so it is anyone's game up the front of the field at the moment. Then it's a bit of a gap back to P number 6, another about 4 seconds, and he's in a little battle with Josh Horton, so good little battles forming all around the track, as we saw at race number 1.
I think I'm seeing Tony Baker start to finally pay the price here, because we saw Freer get through and he's gone, and Cameron Hardwick has got through, and now Hayden Kirk, James Chastano, a few others to start to line up on Tony Baker with 3 or 4 laps to go in this one. And we've been looking at some of the forecasted weather. The forecast's clearing up a little bit, so while there was a chance of rain in this race initially, now we're not going to get any, and the chance of rain in race number 3 is also not quite what it was, but we will keep an eye on the radar, particularly as we get into race number 3. So here's Brodie Shepherd alongside Luke Turner for 4th place. First, second, and third still remaining in line, but it's back here that Brodie Shepherd's trying to make some progress.
We saw a little bit earlier the outside line carrying a bit mid-corner speed has worked. Brodie Shepherd getting the job done there, so he moves himself up into P number 4, separating the 2 pulse tuning teammates. So next car on his list of people to attack is Tim Harris, only about 2 or 3 car lengths up the road, so he's definitely within a draft opportunity in these little cars. Depends on how well he's looked after his tyres. But Brodie Shepherd taking the fastest lap of the race in the process as well, making the job done and getting the pass completed.
Tough to pick what's the correct line on the way into that turn number 2 there. The lead will be back on, because Stovall's just got his nose in front of Ben Faulkner. It's one of those corners where the perfect line sees you swing out very wide and take a late apex, but you don't really want to do that when you've got someone at your rear bumper who might take it as an opportunity to dive down the inside. So to defend your track position, you maybe need to compromise the optimal line. Same thing happens in a couple of places at the end of the Wellington Straight, but also into turn 2. So we've got 2 minutes left on the clock. We'll have 2 more laps of Silverstone in race 3. Race 2, in fact, even, before we get to race 3.
Yeah, so we're getting down to the pointy end of the race at the moment. We do see some more lap traffic up in front, so depends on how hard these guys fight, whether they do latch onto the back of those cars. But you can see an opportunity there. Stovall looking for an obscure line to try and get the move done. Slow in, fast out traditionally is the most effective way, particularly if leading onto the Wellington Straight, because arguably one of the fastest parts of the circuit. But you can see Tim Harris there. He's looking for an opportunity. Brody Shepherd doesn't need a second invite either to get an invitation to this little party.
But then Shepherd has a little bit of a wiggle, drops him back somewhat from the lead of the race, where Faulkner needs to be nailing all of these exits, still has Stovall breathing down the back of his neck, and just a little bit of anxiety about the traffic in front. We're going to start the final lap of the race with the leaders running middle of the road. Faulkner to defend and cover off the inside of turn number 1. Good opportunity for Stovall to go over under, and that's what he's going to try to do, get to the inside for the next braking zone. Faulkner will not allow it though, so he comes across big time, and if I was that car being lapped, I don't know where these guys are going, so I don't know how I can get out of the way.
Yeah, you see Faulkner there with a flash of the lights, just as Jordan Dake in the car in front, so just letting him know that his intentions are to try and come through. Dakin just staying left, and it is going to let the train of 5 cars through. He's going to have to really roll out of this here. It's going to be pretty messy into the braking zone.
Done a really good job though, made it clear I'm staying over here, you guys work it out over that side of the road, and indeed they will. A bit of overlap from the teammates here, but Faulkner appears like he's done all of the right stuff to cover off Jamie Stovall on a final lap that was definitely very fraught. Stovall breathing down the back of his neck, a little bit of traffic coming up. Faulkner will hold on, and he'll take another race win in Ozicar Tin Top Cup.
Yeah, Stovall crossing the line second, and Brody Shepherd doing a really good job there to secure third, a bit further back in the pack. I think this is Chastanoff, teamed up with Hayden Kirk and Cameron Hardwick at this stage, maybe. So running too wide out of the corner onto the straight. Chastanoff on the outside. He's got to take the long way around, but might be carrying more speed. It is going to be close at the line, but it looks like Chastanoff by about half a car length. So that concludes his race. Further back, this is still battling for Ford. Ewan Baker there, a long way back. Tony Baker also making a Baker's double. Not dozen, but a Baker's double as they cross the line.
That's just a twin pack. Fair enough. End of race 2. And these are the results. Super close. 4/10 separating your podium off of this race, with Ben Faulkner from Jamie Stovall. Brody Shepherd managing to pick off both of the Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota GR86s over the course of that one, as Tim Harris and Luke Turner finished 4th and 5th. Joshua Horton, Aaron Obostella, Nathan Verney, Douglas Gowans, and Dylan DeBono as top 10. And then we look through the field to Tom Freer there in 11th, Cameron Hardwick, Glenn Riddell, James Chastanoff, Ben Wheeler, Hayden Kirk, Tom Brown, Tony Baker in the end 18th on those wet tyres. He didn't really get any wet track usage out of him in race 2, but I think he will in race number 3. Ewan Baker and Sam Chapman 19th and 20th, not where they would have expected to have been, but they both got sent into the wall on lap number 1. Vic Bent-Veltzen, Brendan Neal and John Snell and Matthew Pluck, the drivers on the lead lap. Jordan Dakin, Warren Henry, Will Chen and Peter Wilkinson 1 lap down. Ira Felberg 2 laps down. There's a 5-minute warm-up before we get into race number 3. We're going to take it to catch our breath. The drivers are going to take it to feel out the track conditions. The weather has arrived. Stay with us on Simspeed TV for the final race of Ozicar Tin Top Cup.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, we're back at Silverstone Circuit for the final of 3 races in Ozicar Tin Top Cup. Take a look at that. Water is falling out of the sky in the UK of all places, and it means that those wet tyres are going to get a workout in race number 3.
So we've got Ben Faulkner, winner of race number 1, and doing a pretty good job going from P8 to P1 in race number 2. So he is the man to beat at the moment, but a curveball of some unpredictable weather might just be what it is needed to mix up the podium here in our 15-minute feature race this evening. For those that have just joined us, we're doing the national layout. It is a shortened circuit using the old pit lane, so short, tight, twisty little circuit here tonight, and we have seen action aplenty right throughout the course of race 1 and 2 tonight so far. Sorry, Dave.
No, all good. As we head into the final race, we've got to say thanks to those who make the series and the broadcast possible. Sim Racing League's Locked On Lads, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and all in support of the No Social Hate campaign. They're gridding up. I'm taking a good look at that weather. The track is definitely wet. There's still a bit more rain coming through on the radar. So this is full wet racing, wipers on, wet tyres on for 15 minutes in race number 3. And for Ben Faulkner, who was unstoppable at Belle Isle, so far indefeatable at Silverstone. He's got one more race to make it at a minimum 6 consecutive race wins. And you look at this grid, there's no slouches. It's not a thin grid. We go back to 30 cars here, and there's easily 10, 15 of them that could be race winners. Think about James Chastanoff, Ewan Baker, 2 drivers with a lot of race wins in Aussie car. They're the ones who need to stop Ben Faulkner in race number 3. We're ready to go. The green flag waves, the tyre smoke's in the air, the water is falling from the sky, and we head towards turn 1. A bit of muscle action there for Glenn Riddell as he had a really good start, forces his way through. But where's the best racing line for this much rain in these conditions? Once you see him get going, you see that spray and you go, oh, this road is wet. And so's the gravel where Vic Bent Veltson finds himself.
You just see a puff of smoke and a gold car in the background facing the wrong way. But there are plenty of pioneers out there at the moment looking, searching for grip. There's a Pulse Tuning Toyota car facing the wrong way. Now he's facing the right way, albeit with cars going left, right, and every other which way. But at the front of the field, it's a call that we've seen or heard once or twice already. Ben Faulkner leading the way, Jamie Stovall, Brody Shepherd, Tim Harris. They make up your top 4 as we go around and get ready to complete the first lap already.
29 drivers, but no heroes. Everyone is on wet tyres in race number 3. And by golly, you can see why. It still looks super slippery and challenging out there. And the drivers, they had a little bit of that warm-up session to try to figure out where the grip is at. Wilkinson looks like he's been hit. Oh, another locked-on car goes around. It is not grippy out there at all. Ben Faulkner leads us after lap number 1. Dylan DeBono looking out of the spray, looking for the grip, looking every which way as there he is behind Luke Turner in 6th. So, check up behind the car in front. Peter Wilkinson goes around, then gets hit. And Vic Bent Veltson, it must have been, also just had a sympathy spin at the same time.
Simspeed's own Peter Wilkinson there, just coming unstuck. We've seen better driving on the golf course, which of course he has been doing for those that follow his social media channels. He's a big golfer and he's been practicing his driving on the greens, but not necessarily on the wet tracks. As with Dylan DeBono, very late on the brakes, looking for an opportunity. I reckon the Vermilion Motorsport driver might have seen him coming, just gave it a little bit of room.
Apparently Brendan Nealon jumped the start, not quite as obvious as what we saw in race number 2, but that will really hamper him as he's already served the black flag on that one. We're side by side for the race lead, and in these conditions, you got to say who's in best position. Is it around the outside for Ben Faulkner? It is, as he goes back to the race lead from Jamie Stovall, but then he runs out wide and there's no grip for him out there. He's almost all out of control. That's going to put him under an immense amount of pressure from Stovall, from Tim Harris, who's coming up towards the race lead here as well. So too Joshua Horton. So a bit of side by side for our race lead here. And where's the traction off the corner? It looks like a top 9 pack at the moment heading onto the Wellington Straight. And in these conditions, you'd need your Wellington boots. I think that's what English people call gum boots.
Yeah, Stovall, they're getting plenty of incentive to try and get the job done. They go side by side into Wellington Straight. Again, 2 drivers up the front giving each other plenty of room because the conditions out on track at the moment are far from ideal. But you can see as they make their way in to complete the lap for lap number 3, the cars at the moment are going single file for the best part of the field. We might be having a few technical difficulties here at the moment. So those that can still hear us, we're still here, and there's battling throughout the course of the field. Matthew Pluck has put in the fastest lap of the race. He is back in P14 in a good little battle pack at the moment as well. So despite the troubles that are on track at the moment, he's finding plenty of pace. And we're back with live pictures again. Sorry about that little hiccup there, but that's what happens in the world of broadcasting. We're at the back of Ben Faulkner. He has control of this race again. Stovall sitting in there 2 tenths behind, just following through at the moment.
I think the driver who's been exciting to watch this whole time has also been Dylan De Bono, because he's up into 5th now, having started quite a little bit lower than that. There's a few positions trading in front of him there, as I think Horton picked off Tim Harris, but Harris seems to have gotten very good drive on a tighter line off of what's functionally the final corner. This is the final corner here, but even in the wet, flat out, no worries, no dramas whatsoever. And you see De Bono, again, he's pulling out to be out of the spray. He just needs the visibility to know when to brake and turn into turn number 1, which he does here, then trying to look around the outside of Tim Harris. Harris is looking whichever way he can on Joshua Horton. The top 2 are beginning to skip away a little bit as 3rd, 4th, and now 5th battle a little bit harder. De Bono down the inside on the tight line. Tim Harris around the outside is going to lose that spot, but get better drive off the exit and onto the Wellington Straight. You can see no chance in the next 10 minutes of it, let alone the rain stopping or even the track drying in any way.
Yeah, you can see the green appearing on the radar, so if anything, we are going to get a little bit more rain, a little bit heavier, so something these drivers need to be aware of. But there's not a lot they can do out there now. They're all wearing the wet weather tyres, depending on how well they've looked after them in the early part of the race. Could play a deciding factor as the laps count down.
Tony Baker got a new set.
Yeah, it couldn't have been too much left off the tyres he had for race number 2, but he is on screen at the moment. He is buried deep in the field back in P20, but he's got about 15 more laps experience on these tyres, just not necessarily in the right conditions.
Can't be raining too hard just yet if we're still setting fastest laps of the race. So if the pace was dropping away, then no one would be taking it away from Sam Chapman. But I think we're just getting into that tiny bit more heavier rain, potentially start pooling in places. Surface of the road definitely looks darker, even if you don't see any puddles just yet. So for Ben Faulkner, looking for a real streak of consecutive race wins, you can tell it will not be easy for him because Jamie Stovall has been so persistent all over him. You got a bit of contact there for 3rd place. De Bono's going to try to straighten up Joshua Horton, and he will. They'll carry on. Not quite fair play, but not too much harm done. And now Tim Harris sees that. He wants in a little bit there. Bit of a wiggly moment from De Bono as he got onto the power. Tom Freer is boxed in with nowhere to go except to try to bump draft Dylan De Bono. I'm not sure bump drafting is super well advised in the wet.
Looks like they do a pretty good job of getting out of that there as they make their way through turn number 1 without a lot of too much car contact. But like you said, you can find yourself facing the wrong direction, just a touch of the rear bumper in the wrong spot, and all of a sudden all your good intentions could be undone. You could find yourself with a penalty, so you've got to be pretty careful out there if you're trying to do it in these conditions.
Brody Shepherd now in behind Tim Harris. Those two definitely had a little bit of battling in the previous race. That was in the dry. How about in the wet now? Bono braking in deep there, and up the road from them, Stovall still relentless, not letting Ben Faulkner get away easy. And Sam Chapman and Ewan Baker. No? James Chastanov and Matthew Pluck. There. Wrong Kiwi sim racing.
Ewan Baker back up to P11 after a disastrous race number 2, where he found himself on the grass on the opening lap number 1. So not necessarily a race that was going according to his plan, but as far as the championship's concerned, it's all just a matter of head down and try and minimise the potential loss of points and make the most of any situations that are presented.
So officially, it's light rain at the moment. Looks a little heavier. Chance it gets more, medium rain going on right now, but you've got 2 seconds between Stovall's second place and Joshua Horton third, and it really looks like the horse has bolted on your leading duo. Zoomed in radar, we've gone from teal definitely into green rain band, and you see that's about a third of the way up the intensity scale. No yellow or orange or red rain just yet, and pink. No chance of that either, but definitely a wet circuit for sure. This is Stovall. He needs some kind of edge. He needs a 10th of a second. He needs maybe a miracle to stop Ben Faulkner, but he's there and he's persistent, and we'll see what transpires of that. Third place, they are side by side. They are banging doors. Dylan De Bono is trying to head down the inside of Joshua Horton here, and the grip is probably around the outside in terms of the traction off the corner, but in terms of the braking and the cornering, it was where De Bono was. He comes across, gives a little hello to Joshua Horton. Tom Free is going to bump Joshua Horton to what will be the inside of the next corner.
Tom Free looking at going 3 wide, yeah.
And in the spray.
Dylan De Bono doing a pretty good job of trying to get the under and over there. He gets the job done on Horton by giving plenty of room. You don't want to be on the outside 3 wide at any stage of the race, particularly going through a corner. So Horton there coming off second best out of that little battle, and the winner really was Tom Freer, going from 5th up to 3rd.
This is Horton. He was middle of the 3 wide down the Wellington straight. He breaks in deep to try to cover off the car on the inside, but he has a slide. Freer gains those 2 positions. Dylan De Bono also then crosses back over under. And from in front on the way into the braking zone, he ended up losing 2 spots, but he mainly kept it under control enough. His teammate Brody Shepherd is now going to go past, if I'm reading that correctly. Indeed. So, not a great couple of corners for a second there for Joshua Horton. And Ben Faulkner enjoying a modest half-second lead here now over Stovall.
I wouldn't take Jamie Stovall out of this just yet. He's shown plenty of pace over the previous rounds, and he has been a previous race winner here at Ozicar, so he knows what it takes to get the checkered flag at the conclusion of racing. But that gap at the moment out to 0.7 of a second, so Ben Faulkner doing a really good job of holding out to the pressure that Jamie Stovall has put on him this evening, particularly here in race number 3. So everything that's been thrown at him, he has had an answer for.
Weather's doing something very British. It's still raining, but the sun's come out in places. You're getting some reflection off the road. Ewan Baker looking down the inside there. Turn number 1 on Aaron Obersteller. He does that. Baker's up 9 spots in this race. There's another big winner in this pack. Look at Matthew Pluck. He's looking for another couple of spots because he's gone 12, soon to be 13, could even be 14 for Pluck, looking around the outside here, maybe for a bit of an over-under, even on his teammate, perhaps. And other big winners so far in this race. De Bono, 7 positions. Tom Freer, 7 positions. Sam Chapman, 11 positions with the fastest lap of the race. It looks like KSR are well-placed here, with a little bit of a bump draft as well, to try to keep Aaron Obersteller out.
So the two teammates working together, no doubt they are in each other's ears, sharing a radio, so doing what they need to do there. Matthew Pluck getting the job done to sneak himself up into P11. Ewan Baker sitting in P10 at the moment. This is an Ozicar.net replay, and bang, straight into the fence. That's the velocity car there, just not sure whether to go left, right or straight ahead, but the Ozicar racing team driver there having a very hard contact to the inside wall.
Looks like he might have turned in from the curb or the grass, which can be ill-advised at the best of times, but in the wet looks to have been incredibly lethal. The minute he went to tip in, the rear was gone, and it even found the arm code before the apex of the corner as he spun out in that fashion. The white flag will come out for the race leader at the end of this lap, and that's Ben Faulkner's position at the moment ahead of Jamie Stovall. But Tom Freer, Joshua Horton trying to fight back, pardon me, and then Tim Harris, Luke Jonas, Sam Chapman, Matthew Pluck as the top 10 completed at the moment. There's Ira. That car doesn't look like it wants to turn left. He's splashing like a duck. De Bono and Shepherd for the podium on the final lap of the race. We start it now with Ben Faulkner and Jamie Stovall in the lead, but third place entirely undecided.
Very similar to results in race 1 and 2, where the first two were pretty well decided on the last lap and the battle came down for the final step on the podium. It's going to be history repeating itself here in race number 3 tonight. Dylan De Bono sitting in the prize seat at the moment, but you got Brady Shepherd and Tom Freer, also Josh Horton there in the shadow. So one little mistake from any one of these drivers up front, and you could see a promotion of positions in the dying stages of the lap.
So this is Luke Turner with Sam Chapman at his rear quarter. Matthew Pluck also looming large. Biggest mover of the race right now is Matthew Pluck, and he might not be done even on the final lap with 2 or 3 corners left, because he's watching them go side by side in front, figuring out what he might be able to pick off. Oh, and in the end, he'll not get rewarded for that at all. Ben Faulkner will take the checkered flag. 3 from 3. Unstoppable wherever we go, whatever the conditions. Ben Faulkner extends his championship lead with 3 race wins at Silverstone in Ozicar Tin Top Cup. Dylan De Bono gets in third. There were 3 wide back there, though, for Matthew Pluck, Ewan Baker, Sam Chapman. All sorts of craziness in the wet at Silverstone.
Yeah, it was also Horton. It was also his teammate there, and Tom Stovall, I think it might have been as well, 3 wide. So plenty of door banging going on for the run to the checkered flag. But tonight's man of the moment is on screen at the moment. We spoke to him last week, and no doubt we'll speak to him again very shortly. It is our race winner for 1, 2 and 3 tonight, Ben Faulkner. Putting on a bit of an expression session for everybody.
So have a look at this. I mean, woof. That's coming towards the checkered flag with Joshua Horton, Brody Shepherd, and Tom Freer, and it didn't work out for Tom Freer, and he was very forceful trying to get his nose in there on the Vermilion teammates, but still got the checkered flag ahead of Tim Harris and Luke Turner, the Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota teammates. Your winner's made his way with a couple 360s around and back to the pit lane. What an exciting final race, and I thought the first 2 were okay without the rain, but something about the rain, I think it opens up more possible racing lines.
Yeah, particularly if a lot of drivers haven't done the practice or had an opportunity to experience the rain. So I know there was some drivers that experienced it the first time at this track during the warm-up session. So standings after race 3 tonight, after round number 4, in fact, Ben Faulkner taking the win tonight, Jamie Stovall, Dylan De Bono, Josh Horton, Brody Shepherd. They make up your top 5. Then it was Tom Freer, Tim Harris, Luke Turner, Matthew Pluck, and Ewan Baker. All contenders for race wins pretty well throughout most of the night tonight, but that makes up your top 10 in the first third of our race number 3 results. Then over the page is P11, Sam Chapman, James Chastanoff up a couple of positions, followed by Hayden Kirk, Aaron Oversteller, Nathan Verney, Ben Wheeler, Tony Baker. Douglas Gowans had a bit of an up and down night, finishing in P18 this evening. Glenn Riddell and Warren Henry round out your top 20. And over the final page, we have Will Chen, Cameron Hardwick, Peter Wilkinson, Jordan Dakin, not to forget for him, I'm sure he'll be the first to admit, John Snell, Vic Ben Veltzen, and then our first cars off the lead lap was Ira Felberg, Brendan Nealon, and Tom Brown, only completing half the odd laps on offer for race number 3.
Indeed, it was wild and frantic 3 races from Silverstone Circuit. And I think we're joined by some of our key players from that one. How about we step our way up the podium from race number 3 with Dylan DeBono first. Well, race 1, 6 positions gained. Race 3, 7 positions gained. You just kept finding your way forward when you needed to.
Yeah, mate. You know, like that's what it's all about. Had not a very good qualifying, and just tried to stay out of trouble. I was winning that the second race, and then got tagged. So yeah, just had to come back through.
So a short layout here with only a couple of real corners. In a way, it's a Silverstone's answer to Brands Hatch Indy.
Yeah, it's a tough little layout. Passing was pretty limited there. It was quite hard, especially in the drive. We were all pretty close in the times wise. But yeah, not a bad race.
And your favourite way to make a pass around here, how are you setting them up? Which corners were really giving you opportunity?
In the rain in that last race, I think it was turn 3 and 4 before you go into the back straight. I just seemed to have good traction out of there, and yeah, just got the job done there.
If there was going to be a velocity sandwich, what ingredients would be in the sandwich?
I think there would be a fair bit of consistency. You know, a little bit of pace, and yeah, just all in all, a bit of fun.
Okay, that's different to the ingredients I was thinking of, but I think that probably makes a better sandwich.
You're talking food, are you? Food?
No, that's a good answer, and it's a great insight and a fantastic way. Obviously, there's quite a few teams with a handful of drivers in this championship. I mean, at times they're looking at a lot of Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota guys, a lot of Vermilion guys, a lot of Locked On guys, Kiwi Sim Racing guys. So to have a handful of your own teammates as well, what's the advantage there?
I think it's just being able to play the team game, you know, especially in qualifying. Well, qualifying's alone in this one, but just being able to work together as a team, you know, drafting and that sort of stuff.
Well, plenty of good passes, plenty of great racing, and we'll see you for the remaining rounds. Congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
Jason, not exactly what I was expecting in the sandwich, but a much better answer than the question ever deserved.
Yeah, you could hear you caught him off guard, but for someone talking or making up answers on the whim, he did a pretty good job. So I've gone for a bit of a walk. We've got Jamie Stovald with us tonight. He's had a bit of an up and down night. It was a night of improvement from the moment the lights went green in race number 1. So P6 race number 1, that was upgraded to a second step on the podium for race number 2, which he repeated for our feature race. Welcome to the commentary box, Jamie Stovald.
Hey, how's it going? Good to be here for actually getting a podium instead of you seeking me out in the pit lane. So yeah, that was a great bunch of races. Yeah, that was really fun.
So did you get a lot of practice, I guess, on dry tracks, but did you even think it was going to rain tonight? They saw a couple of drivers take a gamble in race number 2, run wet weather tyres, but it kind of snuck up on everybody, I think, for race number 3.
Yeah, I didn't do any practice in the wet. I sort of just joined the practice session that they chuck up on the Sunday, did a few laps, felt comfortable, called it a day. I think that's what made the racing a lot better in the second race. I don't think many people did a lot of practice in the rain, so everyone was trying to sort of navigate the wet track and try and find fast lines throughout the race, and trying a different line, maybe losing a bit of time, and yeah, every corner was different. Every lap it was a different sort of skill set, I guess.
Yeah, we did have changing conditions, and both yourself and Ben done a pretty good job running away towards the end of the race. They're making a little bit of a gap, so we're taking some pressure off you from behind, which meant you could focus on applying pressure to the car in front. So unfortunately for you tonight, Ben had an answer for everything you threw at him, but definitely a highlight and a good step forward towards your championship campaign here as we count down towards the final couple of rounds of the series.
Yeah, again, Ben was just crazy quick. Was pretty happy to be sort of running door to door for a few laps there. Thought I had him in the rain race at the start, and then he must have found a better line than I had found and sort of pulled away a bit. It's the same sort of thing like in the Formula Fords with these cars, where if you don't battle for a bit and you sort of work together, you can sort of pull a bit of a gap, since especially at tracks like this, draft's so strong. But yeah, a good points haul, thankfully, again for the season and yearly championship.
So we did see Ben have a bit of a hiccup moment on the exit of turn 1 there in the feature race, get loose and come across the front of your car, which looked like a pretty close call, and that was probably your best opportunity, I guess, to really try and tighten those screws and apply that pressure. But did your tyres sort of drop off towards the end of the race, or did you think you looked after them pretty well?
I think I was looking after them quite well. I think he just, as I said before, found a better line than I did, and then sort of in the desperation to try and keep up with them, I was trying to try different lines and ended up not working, and got loose a few times, ended up getting out of draft in the end, but I think we'd pulled a bit of a gap between third, so I was happy sort of just to sit back and not spin and over push, to get 0x in all races as well, getting 3 extra points. Playing it safe does sort of pay off in a series like this.
So before we let you go tonight, do you want to do a quick shout out to teammates, sponsors, supporters, pit crew, spotters, anyone else that you want to shout out and do a thank you to?
Yep, just a huge thank you to Synergy Sim Racing as always. Great bunch of guys, especially Tom and Briggsy. They were usually hang out on the channel. Tom was racing today. If you're mid practice, you're just having some laughs, kind of taking it off, not as serious, but keeping focus at the same time. I got a few mates watching this, so shout out to them. They're always watching my races, so appreciate the support from them. And yeah, everyone at the team.
Well, congratulations tonight. It's no doubt a good confidence booster. You've had the speed, you've had some luck some bad luck on your side over the last couple of rounds, but to come away with the P2 tonight, good points haul, and hopefully we'll see you on again in the Simspeed commentary box before the season's out.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you very much, guys, as always.
So Jamie Stovall there on screen at the moment. He's celebrating second place, a really good result for him tonight here at Silverstone National Circuit.
Well, there's no question about who deserves to be interviewed on the top step, though, because whether you look at race 1, race 2, or race 3, it's 3 race wins in a row at Silverstone for Ben Faulkner. And I mean, similar to Belle Isle, you look at the results at the end of the round and you go, oh yeah, swept them. But man, Stovall was right there with you, and many times the margins were slim, even if it was the number 1 next to your name.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a difficult track to pull away. It was almost impossible unless they battled behind or made a mistake, just because it's only like technically around 4 or 5 corners or 6 corners, and yeah, pretty much anyone can be pretty much up there with the toe because there's so much toe. But yeah, so it was pretty hard. I was pushing. Me and Jamie had really good battles. A lot of us had quite good battles. Race 2, I made a big mistake at lap 1, turn 1, and accidentally doored Ewan. So big apologies to him because that was probably one of the worst things I've done for a while. So I think I might get a penalty for that. But yeah, other than that, it was really good racing and enjoyed it.
If you were weather god, would we be racing in the dry or racing in the wet? I think there's slightly more jeopardy for you in the wet, but also more chance to break away and break the toe.
Yeah, I'm usually a lot better in the rain than the dry, or I like the rain more than the dry rather. But yeah, it's a lot easier to pull away in the rain if you find the right line, which I think I managed to do towards the end of that last race. But yeah, those conditions were a bit weird. It wasn't that wet, but it wasn't dry either, so it was pretty hard to find what the right line was, and yeah, lots of puddles that formed out of nowhere.
Very British rain, too heavy to ignore it, but too light for it to really do much either.
Yeah, it's pretty typical rain in the UK. I don't think we'll get a rain in the UK, a race in the rain at the UK. That yeah, it's always raining in the UK. So I'm surprised that the first 2 races weren't raining. I think it was the wind that was pushing the clouds away, because it was like 50% at the end of the first one, then it didn't even rain for the second one, then yeah, it managed to rain a little bit in the third one.
If there was a Vermilion Motorsports sandwich, what would the ingredients be?
I mean, we had a good top 3 finish in the first one. All our boys have been doing really well this season. Brody, my teammate for the season, has been doing really well. We're all sort of practicing our racecraft and trying to be cleaner. A few incidents here and there, but that's what happens when you're racing close. And yeah, these cars are really good fun to race because they're not that quick, so you can be side by side and nothing really happens if you bang doors. But yeah, all the Vermilion boys are doing very well, and I'm proud of them for what they've been achieving.
I'm sure they're very proud of you. You're on a streak. It's at least at sort of 6 race wins here, and we point out it's not against a field of nobodies and 10 cars. It's again with a basically 30 car grid here at a track that makes it tough to get away.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of good drivers in here. There's so many I could name. So it's really good racing against them. I'm glad they're in here because a lot of them are like a bit supercar drivers and Porsche Cup drivers. So it's good that they're all in here having a bit of fun. It's good racing against them. A lot of them I'm good mates with, so it's good fun to race against them and have a good battle. And I'm looking forward to doing a few seasons more if we keep going.
Well, congratulations for race number 1. Congratulations for race number 2. Congratulations for race number 3. And be all eyes on you when we go racing next.
Yeah, for sure. And also, am I allowed to shout out sponsors?
Go on.
Well, obviously, Doing OK is our main sponsor, pretty new. Obviously, the boys at Vermilion Motorsports, Verb Designs, Supernova Motorsports, which is my dad, so shout out to him too. Hymo Setups, and Vermilion X Coaching, which is professional coaching at an affordable price. So, and thanks to you boys for putting on a great broadcast.
We'll see you next time out with 2 rounds remaining in this season of Ozicar Tin Top Cup.
See you boys. Thank you.
There we go. 2 rounds in a row. Unflappable. And we head to Mount Panorama next time out. Jason can't wait for that.
Yeah, leaving the Northern Hemisphere, coming back down under to what is probably Australia's most sacred racetrack. Mount Panorama is going to be a absolute hoot. These cars powering up the hill and then coming down the other side, slipstream down the Conrod Straight. And then, of course, the final round in a fortnight after that, we will be at the Nürburgring, where we go back to Europe. So plenty more jet setting to come here on Simspeed TV as part of the Ozicar Tin Top series. But yeah, round 5 will be our next scheduled competition in a fortnight's time here at Simspeed TV.
So that's all from an action-packed Silverstone round of Ozicar Tin Top Cup. We'll see you next time out. I've been David Haynes, Jay Kennedy in the production, Jason Fewens alongside me, Ben Faulkner 3 times in victory lane.